There's something about old houses that makes them feel alive. Maybe it's the creaking floorboards, the faint echoes of voices long gone, or the way shadows stretch across the walls as if reaching for you. For the Henderson family, their new home felt like a dream at first, until it became a nightmare. It started with the move. The family of 4, Mark, his wife Linda, and their 2 children, Emma and Jack, had been looking for a fresh start after some difficult years. When they stumbled upon the large Victorian house in the countryside, it seemed perfect. The house was surprisingly affordable for its size, and though it was a little rundown, Mark saw potential. As they settled in, Linda noticed something odd. There was a door at the end of the second-floor hallway, hidden behind an old cabinet. It wasn't marked on the house's blueprints. Intrigued, she called Mark, and together, they moved the cabinet. Behind it was a narrow, wooden door, its paint chipped and handle rusted. It didn't feel like it belonged to the rest of the house. Probably just a storage closet, Mark said, brushing off Linda's unease. When they opened the door, the air that escaped was stale and suffocating, as though it had been sealed for decades. Inside was a small, windowless room. The walls were covered with faded, peeling wallpaper, and in the center of the room sat a single wooden chair. Emma, their curious 10-year-old, peeked inside. "Can this be my secret room?" she asked. Mark chuckled. "Sure, if you want," but Linda hesitated. Something about the room made her stomach churn. The wallpaper seemed to shimmer faintly, as if it were wet. The chair, though covered in dust, looked recently used. Scuff marks on the floor showed it had been dragged back and forth. "Let's keep the door closed for now," Linda insisted. The first night in the house was uneventful, at least until 3 a.m. That was when Emma woke up screaming. Mark and Linda rushed to her room, finding her sitting upright, drenched in sweat. "There was someone in my room," Emma cried. "A woman. She was sitting on my bed." Linda hugged her, brushing it off as a bad dream. But as they comforted her, Jack, their 7-year-old, appeared at the door, clutching his teddy bear. "Mom, Dad, I saw her too." Mark's face grew serious. "Who?" "The woman in the black dress," Jack whispered. Over the next few days, the house grew colder, no matter how high the thermostat was set. Strange noises filled the nights. Whispers, faint scratching, and the sound of something heavy being dragged. Linda began finding things out of place. Family photos turned backward, utensils on the floor, doors that wouldn't stay closed. The children became withdrawn. Jack refused to sleep alone, and Emma's once cheerful demeanor turned sullen. She spent hours sitting at the end of the second-floor hallway, staring at the door to the hidden room. One night, Mark woke to find Linda standing at the window, gazing into the backyard. "Linda," he called softly. She didn't respond. When he touched her shoulder, she flinched, as if waking from a trance. "I thought I heard someone calling my name," she said. Mark shook his head, blaming stress. But the next morning, he found scratches on the window frame, deep, deliberate gouges, as though someone had been trying to claw their way inside. A week later, Emma vanished. They found her inside the hidden room. She was sitting in the chair, her eyes vacant, her lips moving as if she were talking to someone. But the room was empty. "Emma!" Linda screamed, shaking her. But Emma just stared at her, unblinking. Then, in a voice that wasn't her own, she whispered, "She doesn't want you here." Mark grabbed Emma and carried her out, slamming the door shut. He nailed it closed, desperate to seal whatever was inside. But it was too late. That night, the house came alive. The whispers grew into screams. Footsteps thundered through the hallways. The walls seemed to pulse, the wallpaper bubbling and peeling as if something were trying to break through. The family huddled together in the living room, too afraid to move. At 3 a.m., the house fell silent. Mark decided they had to leave. They packed their essentials and ran to the car. But as they pulled out of the driveway, Emma turned to look at the house one last time. In the second-floor window, a woman in a black dress stood watching them, her face a hollow void. They never went back. Months later, Linda researched the house and learned its dark history. A family had lived there decades ago, a mother and her 2 children. When the husband abandoned them, the mother locked her children in that very room to protect them. She told neighbors they had run away, but the truth came out years later when their skeletal remains were found sitting in the chairs. It's said that the mother, overcome with guilt, took her own life in the house. And though the house has had many owners since then, none have stayed for long. The Henderson family's story was just another chapter in the house's cursed history. They say the woman in the black dress still waits in the forgotten room, looking for a family to keep her company. Would you dare to enter? Hope you liked the video. Make sure to share it with your friends and subscribe for more.